Hello and welcome again back to 21st Century Music Theory. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fine.
All right. We're always trying to explore music vocabulary for today's musicians. Today's discussion, harmony. What is it and how can we learn it?
So harmony is the combining of two or more non-octave pitches, non-octave or unison pitches at the same time. Whether we have two different melodies, which is essentially how harmony originated, or three or more different pitches, which we call chords, harmony is essential to providing an emotion, enhancing emotion in music, creating a background for melodies, and for the developing of necessary understanding of specific vocabulary needed for all different styles of music.
We begin with intervals. Intervals are the distance between any two pitches.
Chords are comprised of three or more notes. The formula of each chord type is determined by the intervals or the stacking of pitches. Most chords are stacks of major or minor thirds, perfect, diminished, or augmented fifths, and major or minor sevenths. Make sure to read the text for a more specific explanation of how to see and understand the difference between these intervals. We can learn to understand chord formulas primarily with major and minor thirds. A major third is two whole steps. There's a half step, whole step. Two whole steps, major third. A minor third is three half steps or a whole step and a half step. Since most of the chords we use today evolved out of our diatonic major and minor scales, we have essentially only four primary chord types or triads, that is a three-note chord that we have to learn. And then we will go ahead and use most of those chords for both major and minor keys. Okay, so first of all, a major chord is a major third on the bottom and a minor third on top. A minor chord is a minor third on the bottom and a major third on top. This is true no matter where we start on the piano. Major third, minor third, minor third, major third. Both chords have the same perfect fifth from the bottom note to the top note. It's just the middle note that changes. The other two chords are the diminished and augmented chords. Diminished chord is two minor thirds. So no matter where we are in the piano, any two minor thirds is a diminished chord. An augmented chord is two major thirds. Now if we stack the notes of any major scale, and we stack them up in thirds, we get the natural formula of chords in any major key. The formula is, the one chord is a major chord, the two chord is a minor chord, the three chord is a minor chord, the four chord is a major chord. The five chord is a major chord. The six chord is a minor chord. And the seventh chord is a diminished chord. Once we memorize all the major scales and then this formula, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, we now know all the chords in literally every key. Here's an example. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. So we can literally do this in any key. You name the key, be able to recite the names of the notes, put together the major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished formula, and I now know the chord vocabulary for literally any major key. Similarly, since we know the chord formula for the major key, we can now apply the same thing to the minor key. That is, we now start on the 6th note of the major scale, and that's the beginning or our 1 chord for the minor key. So the relative minor of C major is A minor, up to the 6th note or down a minor 3rd. So if I make that be my 1 chord, the 1 chord in a minor key, natural minor key, is A minor or minor. The 2 chord is diminished. The 3 chord is major. The 4 chord is minor. The 5 chord is minor. 6 chord is major. And the 7th chord is major. So one additional tool, and we're basically done with chords in our major and minor keys, which covers most of our chord vocabulary. And that is, in popular music and much of modern classical music, there is one of the minors we prefer more often than natural or relative minor, and that is the harmonic minor key. Whether or not we use the harmonic minor scale for the melody, we do most frequently use it for the harmony. That means this 7th note now affects 3 chords, and the 3 chords are, the 3 chord now changes from major to augmented. The 5 chord changes from minor to major, which also allows us to make a dominant 7th, okay? And the 7th chord changes from major to diminished.
So when we move on to chord progressions and learning chords in each key, there are a few chords we almost always use, which cuts down the size of vocabulary we must learn.
Yeah, later there are some standard adjustments or extensions that we can memorize to add to those formulas. But right now, our biggest concern is first to memorize major keys and major scales, memorize the chord formula in major and minor keys, and then we'll later on learn how to enrich that vocabulary.
So Michael, what do we have to do to understand harmony?
First, learn to see, hear, and recognize basic intervals, the major and minor thirds, the perfect fifth, diminished and augmented fifths, and major and minor sevenths. Will get most of the work done. Second, memorize the formula and how to play and recognize our 4 triad types: major triads, minor triads, diminished triads, and augmented triads. Third, memorize the formulas of chord types for the major, natural, and harmonic minor scales. Major chords, the 1 is major, the 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, and 7 is diminished. Natural minor, the 1 is minor, 2 is diminished, 3 is major, 4 is minor, 5 is minor, 6 is major, and 7 is major. And then for minor keys, especially the harmonic minor, where the 1 is minor, the 2 is diminished, the 3 is augmented, the 4 is minor, the 5 is major, the 6 is major, and the 7 is diminished. Fourth, practice saying and playing the combined scale notes for each key with the chord types. And fifth, learn to say and play these chord types and progressions we'll cover in the next video.
You may want to watch this video a few times. You will definitely want to include these 5 steps into your practice regimen.
But it won't take long until you've actually played every viable chord that we use on almost any key, at which point you'll be in harmony with harmony. You got a groove for us?
I got something.
All right, hit it.